and welcome back to Get It and Give It. So I've been away for a little bit of a while, been pretty busy with weddings and honeymoons and a little bit of everything in between. Anyone who I'm friends with on Instagram knows that October wasn't a great month for me. It's been actually a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, but we're on the other side of it now, because I'd actually hoped to release this episode and a few other bits and pieces in October, but everything just got the better of me. Anyway, it's probably a topic we can talk about sometime on this podcast, but not today, because today we are going to talk to Phoebe Webb of Fashion of Ireland, and there's just two things that I just want to know before we get into the interview. So the first thing is, instead of a weekly podcast episode, I'm actually going to do it every second week. So it'll be every second Thursday from here on out until season 3, because I suppose this is season 2 because there's been such a long gap. And then the other thing is, I'm actually going to be uploading the podcast onto YouTube as well, because thankfully I really appreciate where YouTube is going lately, because they are now, I don't know what the best way is to describe what they're doing, but they are basically having a new service, and part of their, well, there are a few new services, and part of their new service is that they are having kind of like a YouTube music app, which is basically kind of like Spotify. It's not as good as Spotify yet, but there are major benefits to it. And the other thing that they're doing is, if you pay a monthly subscription of €15, you can listen to the YouTube app without having to have it open all the time, like as in you can go into other different things. And personally I do that a lot. I really like YouTube. Oh, and the €15 covers no ads from now on with your account as well. So I'm going to start uploading the podcast episode to YouTube so people can listen to it on YouTube or on YouTube Music. And the other ways you can listen to it are, of course, on iTunes, and let me just check what the other ones is, SoundCloud. So there are the two changes, and otherwise I don't have a lot to say today. So we'll probably just dive into the interview with Phoebe. So I just want to say a little bit about Phoebe, just to introduce her, just in case there's anyone out there who doesn't know who she is and how amazing she is. She's my new girl crush at the moment. Anyway, Phoebe Webb of Fashion of Ireland. So Phoebe is someone who within a short period of time I have come to love. As I said earlier, not only is she beautiful on the inside and on the outside, but she's also a girl on a mission, a fashion mission that is. Phoebe hails from almost the most southern point in Ireland you can reach, the lovely town of Skibbereen in County Cork. When Phoebe finished school, she knew she wanted a career in fashion, so she enrolled and graduated in the Limerick School of Art and Design, swiftly followed by employment in the Sunday Times, Style Magazine, Irish Tatler and the Blarney Group. Along the way, Phoebe realised that she had an idea and a vision she could make her own, and so her journey of Fashion of Ireland began. In 2017, Phoebe set up Fashion of Ireland while working full-time elsewhere. She dedicated nearly every moment she had after hours and on the weekend to Fashion of Ireland, but soon realised that the vision she had would require more time to fulfil. So she left the stability of full-time employment and moved back to Skibbereen to put every ounce of energy into Fashion of Ireland. And I don't know about you, but someone who is brave enough to take such a big gamble and put in the hard work, and hopefully it pays off, which it is for Phoebe, is someone who I just have nothing but full admiration for. Which is totally true. I think what Phoebe's done is amazing. It's very, very brave, and it's amazing that within the year she and I and many other people can already see that it is paying off. Fashion of Ireland is going from strength to strength, as is the lovely Phoebe. This year alone, she was nominated as one of You Magazine's 30 Under 30, a very prestigious category to be associated with. So as I'm sure you've gathered by now, Phoebe is one awesome lady. So let's just jump straight into the interview and let's get to know Phoebe a little bit better. So I'm here with Phoebe Webb from Fashion of Ireland. I'm so excited for this. It's the first kind of fashion and sustainable interview that we've had. So Phoebe, what started you on your journey in Fashion of Ireland?
It was a couple of years ago, and I saw on Instagram, and I can't remember who put it up. Somebody put up a picture of Elizabeth L. Klein's book Overdressed, which is about her journey towards kind of consumption. And I don't know, it caught my eye. I'd never read anything like that before. I'd never really looked into it before. And I was like, I might give that a go. And it was, I got on Book Depository and it was really cheap. So I bought it and I read it. I think in like 3 days or something, I just like completely devoured it. I loved it. And I was so interested because I'd never, I guess, seen or read anyone's journey into maybe their wardrobe, because I never really thought about it before. And so I was just hooked, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna start buying, because she was American, so she was like trying to buy more maybe like American made pieces. So I was like, she was naming all these American brands, and I was like, I wonder what's out there in Ireland. And I think this was about 3 years ago, and when I was Googling, I couldn't find anyone. Like, I found, you know, the kind of obvious names, but no one necessarily that I could even maybe afford as well. And I was like, there must be people out here. I was like, I went to the Limerick School of Art and Design. I know there's fashion students graduating every year, NCAD. You know, I was like, where are all these people?
Yeah.
So I started really kind of researching into it, and I just found it really difficult to find people. And I was kind of writing down names when I came across someone. I was like, oh, okay. And then I realised they don't have a website. I maybe found their social media. Or they might have like a brochure website so you can see pictures but you can't buy.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really weird. Why can't you buy? And so I kind of thought, wouldn't it be great to have somewhere that you could buy online? You know, so I don't have to come to... Because I came up to Dublin to do research, and I looked into boutiques, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is made in Ireland. And I was like, I'm down in Cork. I can't see these things. Yeah. You know?
Wow, so you saw kind of a gap that you essentially wanted to fill. That's amazing.
Yeah, because I know a lot of it is up here in Dublin, which is great. But if you're anywhere else...
Yeah, it's great for everyone in Dublin, not...
Yeah, it's hard. Like, being in Cork, there's a couple of boutiques that do sell Irish design, but there's limited choice.
Yeah.
And you have to know those boutiques, and you have to go in, and you have to really do your research. Like, I was really putting an effort into trying to do this, and I was like, no one's going to put in this much effort, you know, if they're just browsing or whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to create something that maybe people could just go to easily and see a whole range of things, and they don't even have to leave their home.
Exactly, and I think for anyone who has gone on Fashion of Ireland website, like, it's very easily laid out to kind of understand and to see, and it's very clear and beautiful as well. So it's good.
Thank you.
And just in case I didn't give a good enough description of Fashion of Ireland, can you give us just a little? Well, tell us about Fashion of Ireland.
So it's an online boutique for contemporary Irish design, and I kind of stress the contemporary word because I don't want people kind of having that sort of age-old Irish fashion in their minds. You know, with Arden sweaters and Celtic knots and things. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's done. Yeah, and there's companies out there that do amazing in those things.
Yeah.
Whereas I wanted to maybe buy from somewhere more contemporary piece. We kind of unearth hidden gems.
Yeah.
So I want to really put forward the people who are, you know, some designers, they're like mums of like 4 kids, and they actually work another job, and they just do this, you know, in their spare time, and they create really amazing pieces. There's no like issue on quality there at all. They're really great at what they do, but they might not necessarily have the time to advertise and get out there. They might not necessarily have like the skills it takes to, you know, have it on a website, do an online thing, or even like the budget to do it as well. So it's a website that really kind of celebrates those people as well, rather than, because there's the names out there, the household Irish names that are doing great in fashion, but I kind of wanted somewhere. I mean, it would be great to have those people on it as well, but I'm more so trying to concentrate on getting those hidden gems out there. And then obviously kind of just supporting and giving the message of like slower fashion and more sustainable fashion and
definitely,
and buying Irish.
Obviously that's how I came across your website. I think a year ago, maybe longer. And so what would your average day be like with Fashion of Ireland?
So it's changed a lot because as I was saying to you earlier, I was working in the city for the most part of when I started the business. I kind of started back last February, so I was still working my job and kind of doing this part-time, and then I quit my job back in July and I moved home in August. So for the past while I've been kind of working on it a lot more, which has been great because I was just doing it evenings, weekends. While I was giving it my all, I knew I was tired from the day. There was not. I was never giving it my full, even though I really wanted to. I couldn't do it. So I moved home recently to be able to do it, and So my days have changed, working to my own schedule, and like I said earlier, it's really hard to switch off. But at the moment, I'm organising photo shoots for this week because I'm adding some new designers on by the end of October. So I've been busy doing that, kind of getting people on board, talking to designers, meeting them, seeing their products. Because I do have a thing about quality, something might look good, but when you actually look at it, maybe it's not sewn right or, whatever it is. So I actually like to see the products before I put them up as well. And I mean, I think the designers like to show off their pieces as well, and getting to meet people rather than just emailing the whole time.
Exactly. And like, I think there's it's nice face to face to talk and feel the product in hand.
Exactly. So I think, because I put out a call out to get designers on board, and loads of people got onto me, which was great. But there were some people I had to say no to because they weren't, maybe they wouldn't suit the aesthetic of the website, because I'm very much focused on contemporary pieces, and some pieces, even though they were beautiful, but they just weren't to the style. They were more kind of like that Celtic knot situation. And so I've been quite picky, and I've been quite selective, but I think in the end that will kind of benefit me.
I think so, because I think from my views on your website, like, I think you have a very distinctive brand with Fashion of Ireland. So I think you have to find what suits your brand.
And it's about quality as well. Like, I don't want my customers, just seeing every single designer on the website, or like it's just all being thrown up there and it's not being looked at properly. Like, I want customers to know that, like, I have looked at these products, and to my knowledge, they are good products, and they are quality, and they've sourced them right.
You would wear them and you trust them.
Exactly. Like, I wouldn't put anything up there that I wouldn't want to give to a friend. So I hope that kind of comes across, hopefully.
Definitely. And I think it just has to be noted that it's certainly, for me, you have full admiration, because I just think anyone who takes the leap from a very secure job to following their dream is just amazing. So well done.
Not having a regular wage at the moment is scary, and it's horrible. I've never not had, like, I've always worked, and I've always known where my money's coming from, and I've always liked that as well.
Exactly.
Now that I've kind of changed it up a bit and moved back home, it's a little bit strange.
It's strange and scary, but I just think it's amazing, and I definitely think it'll pay off, because you have your goals, you have your targets, and you're on your way. So that's good. And what, like, as your own boss, what are certain things that you find yourself doing every day?
Mostly like admin. Admin is loads of it, like constantly emails. Doing things, like checking social media, checking analytics on the website. Seeing where people are coming from, what they're looking at, why they're looking at it.
No one realises how much goes into that, and how important it is.
And it's great, because like things like Google Analytics, and even my website is on a Shopify platform, and they give a lot of information as well. Which is great, because I like to kind of be able to sit down and kind of properly look at things, but Shopify have an app. So if I'm kind of out and about, I'm like, just check something. And it gives it to you straight away on the app, which is great. And then research as well. Like I said earlier, I come across a new designer every single day.
Wow.
And it's through even using hashtags and stuff on Instagram. I find a lot of people, and I'm like, how have I never come across this person before? And I'm like, if I'm researching every day, how has this not come to my attention? So I just find it amazing that there's so many people out there, and I'm like, well, if I'm not coming across them easily, then maybe other people aren't, and they're the kind of people that I want. Because they're amazing, and they make great stuff, so they need to be kind of shoved to the front.
Definitely. But like what you said, like, I think social media, I know so many people say, it's this, it's that, but it can be so great as well for business, because essentially you can do a lot of free business with it, but it's also just, as you said, getting who you want out there, finding them, and I think it's a great tool.
If you use it well, and if you follow certain hashtags, and because there's certain people that I follow, obviously, but then I find the hashtags more interesting, because they're giving me what I want to see, whereas some of the people maybe might post something that I'm actually not interested in.
Exactly.
So I find that really useful, especially when it comes to researching for the website. It's great.
And especially now that Instagram has the hashtag that can come up in your homepage. what is it called? Like follow this hashtag.
Yeah.
It comes up automatically. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I have so many because I follow like plants or indoor plants one. Every day I'm like, oh my god, I need all these ones. And so what has been some of your biggest achievements so far?
I think because the website turned 1 year old last Saturday.
Oh really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I just started following it just as it went.
Yeah. It's been. I was like, how has this been a year already? It's been mad. But I guess because I work every day at it, and you know, when you work so hard on something, sometimes you feel like nobody's listening or nobody's looking at it, and sometimes you feel like you're kind of like talking to like a dark hole.
Yeah.
And I got contacted a couple of weeks ago from the editor of You magazine to say that I was shortlisted for their 30 Under 30 awards.
Wow, oh my god, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I just thought that was mad, because especially because I was based in Cork City and now I'm based in West Cork.
Yeah.
So Dublin to me is still scary.
Yeah.
I find that I don't really know many people up here. Mm-hmm. So when someone contacts me from Dublin that I don't know and says this, I'm like, oh, so you know, she's seen it, or someone's seen it and said it to her.
Definitely.
Or so I thought that was a good boost for me, because I was like, oh, I'm being recognized for something.
Yeah.
And to be shortlisted for an award like that, like,
I think it's
within
amazing.
a year of business, I thought, yeah, and it is. I was like, okay, maybe my hard work is paying off eventually, you know. So I think that's been my biggest achievement so far.
And imagine, like, obviously you had only given up work and to really focus on, well, given up a stable job to focus on Fashion of Ireland.
Yeah.
But imagine now, this time, possibly next year, when you get your all, what will be waiting for you.
I know, if I can spend more time on it. I mean, like, yeah, God knows what I can do with it.
Well, I have my fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
Have to keep us all posted. So that's tonight.
That's tonight. Yeah.
So very exciting.
Yeah.
And what do you think has been some of your biggest challenges?
Really, I mean, God, there's been so many. Setting up, because I mean, I've done everything myself, really, setting up the website, designing the branding, hand painting all the packaging. I thought that was going to be a good idea until I actually started doing it, and I was like, why did I decide to hand paint all the packaging?
Wow.
But hopefully the customer sees that it's been hand painted and kind of appreciates it. But one of the biggest, I think, is getting my name out there. And it's not that I ever thought that would be easy, but I thought maybe it might be a little bit easier than it has been.
Yeah.
And because I thought Fashion of Ireland, that's such a, you know, obvious name, and that's what people Google and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And while I do get a lot of people coming onto the website and finding me on social media and stuff, it's really tough to actually get the name out there and for people to trust it. Like I sent a survey out a couple of months ago, just to get some feedback about the website, because I was like, you know, when you work on your own a lot, it's sometimes you're like, does it look right? You know, is the layout right? Like, I can work it, but that's because I've worked on it, so I don't know if anyone else can find stuff on it. And
I think it's one thing to ask maybe like your mom or your boyfriend, whereas when you're asking someone who is in the business, it's hard to kind of do that if you are working on your own.
Yeah, because like your friends and family might be like, yeah, it's great, and you're like, is it? So I sent out a survey to people, and I got a lot of feedback from it. And one of the things was that they just didn't know the brand, and therefore maybe they didn't trust it, which is fair enough, because it's online. You know, why would you put your credit card details into somewhere that you don't trust? So I was like, right, that's what I really need to focus on, is getting the brand out there, getting people to trust the brand and me as well. And because I guess maybe because I'm not based in Dublin, I don't maybe have that network as well.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, so I think that's been quite a challenge. But I'm hoping if I just keep going at it and keep talking to people and keep, you know, if customers then, you know, word of mouth and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely something you build upon. I don't think it's something that happens straight away or overnight, you know. So
I think it's not an organisation, it's a group, but it's also an event that happens, and I'm definitely going to forward you on the details for, because It's called She Is Sustainable, and I know for a fact that when I came across your website, it was because I googled sustainable fashion in Ireland.
Yeah.
So I think definitely you should look into this, because I think they have events all over Ireland, but like that, it's really like-minded people. And actually, the girl that I'm doing a podcast with next week, I met her through this event, and you probably maybe heard of her. She does bags and purses and different things, but it's made out of wetsuit material. Her name is Lynn, and she's from the Upcycle movement.
Yeah, I've spoken to her before. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I love what she does.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's cool.
And it's so funny because I had organised this with you prior to speaking with Lynn.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting next to her, and it was when I won't put this on, but it was when I was pregnant, or like I had just found out I was pregnant. I was going through like the horrors of the morning sickness.
Oh, no.
And we went to this event, and I was like, I just don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to do it, just listen. And then I was sitting next to her, and I noticed her bag, and I was like, oh my god, she has one of those bags. And then she ended up having to move closer to me, and she's like, oh hi, I'm Lynn, how are you? And I was like, oh hey, I'm Saoirse. And then I was like, or she asked me what I do, and I said I was an actor. And then I was like, what do you do? And she's like, well, I own this company, this is one of my bags. And I was like, no way. And then I was like, I have a podcast, would you like to go on? I told her that you were on it, and she's like, oh my god, wow. So,
we've spoken kind of through email, but we've never actually met. But I love what she does. So anyone like that I come across, I email straight away. I'm like, I love your stuff, well done. Because from starting my own business, I look at everyone else's businesses so differently now.
Yeah.
Even if I'm in a cafe or whatever, if I look at like the decoration, I'm like, they've had to spend money on that massive plant pot or that huge lamp or whatever it is. And I really and I really admire people who do that. So if I can and I come across people, I'm always like, you're amazing.
Definitely. No, and I'll send you all the details for that, because it's I noticed, do you know the new wardrobe?
Yes.
They were at it as well, and it was great because like there was lots of different kind of areas in which people wanted to kind of group together. So obviously I wanted to group in with the people that were involved in fashion, whereas there was other people that wanted to be involved in waste and different things, but it's just like, it was just handy to kind of do that little bit of networking
and talk with like-minded people, and because sometimes if you start talking about people start to like switch off sometimes, and you're like, you don't care.
Exactly. Anyway, sorry about that. No. I'll let you send you on the details.
That'd be great.
And how would you define sustainable and ethical fashion?
When you sent this on to me, I was like, oh God, how do you define it? I suppose there's two ways of going about it. Sometimes you can kind of come from it, I guess, from a bit of a privileged background and be like, no, you should only buy from companies who have sourced their cotton organically and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of that does cost money, and a lot of people don't have that kind of money to spend. And especially when it's like, maybe like a single mother with 3 kids and things like that. Like, you can't expect them to all be wearing, pieces from Reformation or Evelyn or whatever. So to me, it's about being more of a conscious shopper, and it's about going into, because I worked in pennies for about a year, and I just noticed people's shopping habits. And it was great, actually. I learned so much from being there. Because it really surprised me how, like, I've never, like, growing up in West Cork, we didn't really have, I mean, there was a few boutiques, but, you might get one piece for your birthday or something like that. You would never just go into town and buy a piece. And then going up to Cork for, like, your summer stuff, and then going up to Cork for your winter stuff. So it's like once or twice a year you would go into the shops. So that's how I grew up. And then when I kind of moved into the cities when I was in college, I had no money, so I never went shopping. And then so when I was living in a city and I had a job and I had the money to spend, I wasn't in that kind of zone, and I'd never really done it. So it was only when I started working in pennies that I actually really saw people's shopping habits. And I was at the tills, and there was this woman who was, she was like, I'm going on holiday next week, and she was telling me all about it, and she was buying all these bikinis and all this new underwear, and she was like, and you just throw it away, you don't bring this stuff back. And I was like, what the hell? What? I was like, why wouldn't you bring it back? Why are you buying it if you're not going to keep it? And I was just so shocked that she had said that. And I was like, that's obviously what loads of people do. They buy all this stuff and then they just leave it in their hotel room.
It's unbelievable.
Because they don't want to bring back like dirty underwear or whatever. And I was like, who cares?
Just wash it.
Wash it, yeah. Put it in the sink if you want before you go. Like, it doesn't matter. And like, when people would come and buy the same jumper in 3 different colours, I'm like, you know, do you need 3? Like, just pick your favourite colour and get that one. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, so when it comes...
I think that's something you can see kind of, not to hate anyone, but you can see it online a lot with certain fashion bloggers as well.
Oh, yeah, don't get me started.
Because I would be looking at them and be like, wow, okay.
I actually did. So yeah, to define the sustainable and ethical, it's about being more conscious about what you're doing. So if you're going to shop in Pennies, don't buy 3 jumpers, the same jumper in 3 different colours. Buy one, you know. Don't go in every single day for your lunch break. Maybe go in once a week.
Yeah.
So it's about, you can still buy from those places. Don't, like, I mean, it's not very what's the word I'm looking for? You just can't really boycott those places. It's you know, you have to, I guess, with your own budgets and things like that. But yeah,
I think that's really true, because I think, you know, a lot of the ethical brands and sustainable brands, obviously, as you said, are a bit more expensive because a lot more work goes into them. And I would be someone that, as I'm not working full time, I can't afford to buy them all the time either.
Yeah.
But I think what you said is also true, that if you do buy something from Pennies or wherever, cherish it, like look after it and make it last, not just throw it out when the season's over.
If I buy something in Pennies for a £5, or if I spend €50 on something, I treat it the exact same way. Yeah.
And they do last.
And they do. If you actually treat it well, you know, they do last. Now, some pieces obviously don't, but like, and because I'm, like I said, I stopped working. I do a bit of freelance work, but yeah, my money is it's not the same as it was when I was working full time. So I can't even afford these brands that I talk about. And I'm like, these are like aspirations. So like, if it's, so I'm like, if it's maybe it's coming up to my birthday, maybe get like a voucher to pay towards something maybe a bit more expensive, or save up rather than spending, you know, whatever it is, €20 a week on like a new dress in Pennies or whatever it is. Save that money. And then in a few weeks' time, you'll be able to afford that more expensive piece. So it's just kind of more so about like changing your shopping habits rather than changing where you shop, maybe. And then I think those companies like just fast fashion companies, you know, Zara and everything, if you know, I'm hoping that if more people do that kind of thing, they'll get to know people's shopping habits, and they'll be like, okay, people aren't coming in to buy the same thing in all these different colours, they're just buying one. And hopefully they can listen to the customer then. So,
exactly. Yeah. That's an amazing answer.
Thanks.
And why do you think everyone needs to be aware of sustainable and ethical fashion?
Because we're at the stage now where you just have to. I think it's really naive if you turn a blind eye to it. I really think it is. And if you just can't go about your daily life not thinking about it. Like, I was listening to a podcast called The Wardrobe Crisis. Okay. Do you listen to that?
No, but I know.
Oh my God, it's so amazing. You'll love it. It's
really?
Yeah, it's a girl called Claire Press, and she's the sustainable editor of Vogue Australia.
Wow.
She's also an author. She has, her first book was Wardrobe Crisis, and then she's just recently brought out her second book. So she does a podcast called The Wardrobe Crisis, and she gets amazing guests on. Like, you'll be blown away. Like, sometimes I listen to them twice because I'm like, oh my God, I have to, you know, listen to that again. She's amazing. And the recent one that came out this week was of a woman who sailed around the world. God knows what her name is. Can't remember. I'm so bad with names. Yeah, and she sailed around the world, and she was saying you can't look at something in a linear way anymore. It has to be circular. So like, you can't, like, everything that's made, like plastic, clothes, whatever it is, they have to be made. Yeah, they have to have a cycle, because I mean, it's just, where's it going to go? Like, just landfill, and it piles up and it goes into. So I think that was a really easy and simple way of putting it. Was it's not linear anymore. You can't just buy stuff without thinking about it. You have to think, where has this come from, or like where's it going to go. You know, people buy in excess like plastics and things, and they just have to think, well, actually, if I use this and throw it away, where's that going? Can it be reused, or have they made it from recycled materials, or whatever it is? It has to be a more kind of circular.
That's a really good way.
Yeah, so I think if you don't think like that, I think it is a bit naive, really, and you can't just ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because I'm interested in it and I look up stuff that I see it all, or if it's actually people are talking about it more, which is great. And I hope it is that. I hope people are just talking about it more, and people are going to try and maybe get it into their heads, okay, just think about it more. What am I buying? Where am I putting it?
Yeah.
Am I recycling it correctly? Because, I mean, there's all these things, but there's... if you just Google things, it's all out there to help if you've got questions about anything. You know, it's...
Yeah, there's so many resources now, I think, compared to maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I just don't think you have an excuse anymore, really.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, so...
but I think what you said as well is, you know, it's not so much about you have to buy from this company, you have to buy from this shop, it's out of your budget. There are different ways around it.
Yeah.
But it's just to be more conscious of, for me, it's, you know, who's making the clothes, where do they end up then afterwards? That's kind of what did it for me.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to kind of, just be more cautious with it, and rather than throwing it away or whatever, you know, if it's still in good nick, bring it to a charity shop or bring it to a recycling bin.
Yeah.
You know, there's ways of going about it. You don't have to be
just
so throwaway.
Yeah, exactly. Just leave it in the hotel.
Yeah. Oh no, that woman, I was like, I even said it to her at the till. I was like, what? I was like, really?
Okay.
And she was like, yeah, like everyone kind of does it. I was like, no, they don't.
Yeah, God.
And I was like, well, I hope they don't. I don't know anyone that does that.
God.
Yeah.
And so I suppose we hit on this already just there, but what are some of the tips you'd give to people that are wanting to make more kind of fashion conscious decisions and choices?
I guess just be aware of maybe what you're buying, because I know I go into shops, I still go into, you know, all the high street stores and stuff, and you do get bombarded with all these things, and you're like, that's amazing, and you kind of pick stuff off the rail. But then I kind of look at what I've picked out, and like, oh, you know, I don't really need that, or you know, and I always kind of maybe like whittle it down to like one piece. So I think people, maybe they just get in such a frenzy about what they buy, and I know a lot of people buy a lot of stuff and then they actually return it to the shop because they get home and they're like, oh, actually I don't really like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why did you buy it in the first place? And even just from working in, I know I keep mentioning them, but it's only really because I work there in Pennies.
You've seen it kind of.
People would come with baskets full and they'd be going through it at the till, and they'd come and looking at it and like holding it up and be like, oh, actually I don't really like that, can you put that back? And it's like, well, why'd you put it in your basket if you don't really want it? Like, for me, I'd have to really want it to go to the till to buy it. So when I saw these people doing, and it happened all the time, like surprisingly, like probably every third person in the queue would be like, oh, actually maybe I put that back. So we would always have, I don't know if you ever noticed, but when you're in Pennies, there's always like clothes and stuff at the back of the tills.
That's from everyone deciding.
That's just from people being like, oh, actually I don't want that anymore. And, you know, so it's just thinking really when you're shopping. And it's the same if you're doing like your food shop or whatever it is. Just think about it. And then,
do I really need it?
And it's not hard to do, you know, it's very simple. And if you've made those conscious decisions, you feel better, for one, I think, when you've come home, you're like, oh yeah, you know, I didn't spend that much money.
Yeah.
You know, I have this piece that I actually really love, rather than just having stuff that you put in your wardrobe that you never wear and it's still got the tag on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because I think as well, for me, it comes down to kind of knowing that everything that you buy casts a vote on, you know, the kind of future that you want. So for me, I'd rather not buy, say, a beautiful dress that's on sale in Pennies, or instead maybe just go to a charity shop and buy something that I wasn't expecting to buy there, but it's like a dress or something, but maybe not the dress I have in mind. I don't know, I think it comes down to a few different things, as you said.
And like when I was in Chicago a couple of years ago, and so it was my first time going into like thrift stores, and I went into the thrift stores the first day I was there, and I just fell in love because I was like, oh my God, I can buy like Rag and Bone, and I can, you know, get all like Ralph Lauren and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. And then I went into the high street shops, and I was like, well, the thrift shops actually kind of ruined it for me, because I was like, I could actually get like a bigger brand for like cheaper price in the thrift store. And even though you don't go into a thrift store looking for a specific thing, but you come across something and you're like, oh my God, I really love that. And you don't feel guilty about buying it then. And
I think if you have a kind of a mindset of, oh, okay, well, I can wear this to this, and compare it with this. Like, I'm lethal when I go into charity shops or anything I have. But in saying that, a lot of my boots that I've bought in the last 4 or 5 years, they've all been from charity shops and they've all been amazing. Like, they're so good. So,
because people don't give stuff away because, you know, it's shoddy or it's, you know, people genuinely just think, oh, actually, I bought those and I don't want them anymore. And they can be great quality. Exactly. So it's kind of, just take a look around and maybe just see what other alternatives you can buy from.
I think that's really good advice.
And then, like I said, then you save money in the long run, really, and then you can save up to buy that special piece that you've been looking at for the last few weeks or whatever it is, and that you couldn't initially afford, but now because you haven't done all those other little buys, because all the little buys add up, and you think, oh, it's just a tenner, or it's just 15 or whatever it is. But by the end of the week, you spent maybe like €100, and So,
and do you think that Ireland is becoming kind of more aware of casting consumer votes towards sustainable and ethical fashion?
I think so, but again, I don't know if it's just because I look into it and I research it that I see it, or if it's actually happening. It's really hard to kind of tell the difference sometimes. Especially with, you know, like targeted ads and all this kind of stuff. You're like, oh my God, all this stuff is happening, but like maybe the other person next to me isn't getting any of that information at all. But I think it is. And I think it's just, if the more people that talk about it, then hopefully the more people, because I have like friends even they give me ideas. People, you know, post articles or whatever it is on Facebook about stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah. You know, so every day I'm still like, oh my God, and I think about something new, and I think we are. I'd like to think we are. Anyway.
I like to think we are too. Yeah. And even you know, I think with social media as well, it's especially easier to talk to people like yourself that maybe kind of would have, you know, good knowledge, good advice to give out about certain things. Because I know even with what I do on social media, I get messages sometimes being like, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I have so much to tell you. So,
let me tell you.
And who would be some of your inspirations in both like the fashion world and or real life?
There's I've written down in my notes. Like, I guess obviously my friends and my family would be huge inspirations.
Well, because you said that a few times, that you get, you know, inspirations from your friends. And, you know, your family will help you to
just for all different reasons. You know, every person is so individual of, you know, even what they go through, how they go through it, you know, how they are at the end of it. And you know, when I first started the business and I was working and I was trying to do this, and like I went through really stressful, bad times, and it was kind of eye-opening to see, like, sometimes you get so consumed in your own stuff that you're like, oh my God, you know, my life is the worst or whatever, and like I'm going through all the stress and no one else is, everyone else is having a perfect life. And then you see other people go through their stresses and you see that they get through it, so you're like, okay, well actually I can, you know,
silver lining.
And you're like, well, if they got through that, then I can definitely get through this and I can work through that. And obviously they're the people you're surrounded by, so friends and family are the closest people that you can kind of learn from. So I don't want to like name anyone individually, because they all,
there's too many to
there's too many, and they all, like, I have like my family, you know, I have a mom, I have a stepdad, I have a dad, I have like an ex-step-mom who's still in my life, and I have 2 half-sisters, and I have a stepsister and a half-brother. So like we're kind of like sort of spread out a little bit, but like each of those individual people
inspire you
in totally different ways. So to name everybody, I'll be here all day. And then people like in the fashion world then, who I think are doing just really like so much inspirational work that you're like, I can't possibly ever become them or do what they're doing, is Claire Press, who has the Wardrobe Crisis. Livia Firth as well.
Love her.
She just does amazing work, and especially with her green carpet challenge and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of really putting it into
perspective, I think, as well.
And she's just really kind of like, people think, oh, sustainable fashion and stuff, you might think of like the old school way of thinking about it, which I think are just like beige, basically, like beige clothes.
So,
yeah. Whereas she makes it so glamorous and like cool. And Safia Mini, I think it's, or Mini. She is People Tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she's amazing because she cares so much that I think she's going to burst one day, because she just
really
loves what she does and she really wants to make a difference in the world. And she's even gone as far as like learning different languages to be able to go to these countries to speak to these garment workers and all this kind of stuff. So she does, she's just amazing. And I love hearing what she's doing.
I can't wait to stalk her now.
Oh my God, but like sometimes it just makes you feel really bad, because you're like, okay, I thought I did well today.
Oh no, yeah.
She's like saved slavery, so like I haven't done anything compared to what she's done. And just women in business in general as well. Like I was saying, now that I've started my own business, I see businesses in a whole new different light, and I see the amount of effort and work that people put into whatever they're doing. So when I see women in business especially, I just think it's great and I just love it, and it doesn't matter what business it is, I just admire them.
Just same here. I think it's and because actually someone I follow on Instagram, the vegan colleague, she put up something that I think is just so true. It's just suppose she has her own business where she does what are they called, the oils,
like essential oils?
Yes, essential oils. She has a business where she does them, and she put up a post a few weeks ago where she just said, it doesn't make sense that everyone's supporting huge companies that make money every day when their friend down the road is trying to set up a company. It works out better for the community, it works out better for this, for that. It's so true. Like, I don't understand why people don't support the smaller friends, family, whoever it is. Just to get going.
I saw something like that actually recently as well, about when Rihanna's makeup collection first came out, and it was something like however billion people bought her products, and you trusted it even though you don't know her at all. And yet you don't trust the products that your friend has made or someone has made in the area.
It must have been the same post.
It's something like that, really and it was so true, because I was like, why don't people buy from the woman who's made the stuff all week and now she's at the Saturday market selling it? Like, what's the difference between her stuff, where she's actually put so much love and care into it, than someone just putting their name? Now I know Rihanna's probably done more than put her name into it. But there's other people that they just put their name and that they've got their face on the posters, and then people buy into it, and it's
as you said, like the Sunday Saturday markets, you can talk to the people. It's beyond me.
And now that I'm back down in West Cork, I go to the Saturday markets and stuff now, and I'm like, so much yummy food and like good products, and it's great, and it makes you feel so much better, I think, when you've bought from someone like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I just think I would, obviously, if I had the money, I'd love to support all people like that. So like every single stall, I'm like, I really wish I could buy everything from every single stall, but I'm like, each week is different, and I go to eat different people each week. But I love it, and like where would we be without those kind of people? Really, it would be very boring. Exactly. But what you said is so true as well. Like, when you see these people, because for me, half the reason why I wanted to do this podcast was because I'm just so interested in people who are doing things. So I know when I go to the markets, or if I go to, say, the Veg Fest, I love talking to people about why they set it up, what was the inspiration behind setting it up. I think they're so interesting.
And they really do it for the love. A lot of I don't really understand, because I listen to kind of business podcasts, and I watch Dragon's Den or whatever it is, and a lot of people build their businesses just to sell them. And I'm always like, how can you I've literally put my heart and soul into my business, and I don't know how you can do that and then just do it just to sell it. So these people at the Saturday markets and stuff, they put their heart and soul into it, and these people who are making products in Ireland, beauty products and all that kind of stuff, they really, really do. And like, how can you not buy from someone who's literally put their heart and soul into their product?
I totally agree. Anyway, back to you. Sorry. What are some of your favourite things about being your own boss?
One of the things, I suppose, is working towards my own deadlines. Which I really love, and working kind of on my own time as well. So say, if you work like a 9 to 5 office job or whatever, you're there all day, and I find after lunch you get like a little bit sleepy and you're not as productive, and basically the hours after lunch are kind of wasted. So if I'm working to myself and I've got my day structured, I can often work up until maybe, even if it's like 4 o'clock, and I'm like, do you know what, I'm not being productive here, I'm sleepy, I've been staring at the screen all day, and I can go out for a walk for an hour. But then I know I can, you know, because I don't switch off, so I can be working till 10 o'clock that night. But I've still just kind of gone, no, do you know what? I'm going to stop working now. And I'm just going to take a break. And I'm going to go off and do... You can't do that in a normal job.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just be like, actually, do you know what? I don't feel like being here right now, so I'm just going to go.
Yeah, exactly. Tomorrow.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you don't not work, because you do. You make up those hours in a different time.
But I think that's what you and I had touched on before we were even talking on the podcast. Is like, you know, you're on your own time frame, but that could be anything from 9 o'clock to like 12 a.m. that night. Like, it can be totally different. So even though it might look glamorous,
be like, oh, you know, I'm just, you know, going up like Lochine Hill or something at 2 o'clock in the day when everyone else is stuck in their office. But it's like, but I'll be working till 11 o'clock at night, and you know, you'll be asleep. So it's about like balancing that, but I do like the way I can do that.
You have the freedom to do it. Definitely. And what would be some of the negative things you find about being your own boss?
One of the things I guess I kind of touched on earlier was the no kind of guarantee of money coming in. And that's real. That's kind of reality, and that's why maybe living at home has been so great, because I'm like, again, coming I guess from a privileged background, that I can do that. I can be at home, and if I don't have enough money to buy food for the week.
Sorry, I don't just work going on upstairs somewhere.
I was like, is it the fridge?
Is it the fridge? No. Anyway, we just have to ignore that.
So like, say if I don't have money coming in, so I can't buy food for the week, that's fine, because I can, my parents won't let me starve. So that has been quite difficult, because I've never had that, and I've always had my own money. So kind of having to rely on other people now, and it's hard, and that is a challenge, and that can be quite scary. And just not being able to switch off, really, that's really tough.
I think so.
And the guilt that I get if I do. So if I take maybe a Saturday off, and I never really take a day off, because I'm always still doing something, even if it's just a small thing like replying to emails or doing social media, like even if it's just a small amount of time that I do something, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still, I just have to check this, or I just have to do that. Even if I go out, if I'm going to like a different place or going on a road trip or whatever it is, I'm in the car and I'm like, I'll just check that. And so,
checking that, I think, can lead into like, I have to respond to this. People don't understand the kind of, even though you're not sitting at the office desk doing whatever, it is difficult to kind of, as you said, to balance everything when you're your own boss.
So that's definitely one of the negatives, really, is switching off, and then having that guilt where I'm like, I shouldn't have taken that day off, or like, I really should have worked tonight or something, even though I was exhausted and I worked all day. They are quite difficult, but that's a learning curve as well. Like, I'm learning, I've been doing this for about 1.5 years now, just over. So I am still learning my balance with it as well, and having, because if you work a normal job, Monday to Friday or whatever, you switch off and you can have fun, and you can't really do that when you're your own boss, which I love, because I love doing what I do. But at the same time, it can be quite exhausting. And you kind of think, like, if you're out maybe having a couple of drinks with the girls or whatever, you're like, actually, I'm just gonna check this, or I'm just gonna
nip out here.
And even the other day I went for coffee with my mom, and I was getting phone calls and emails and stuff, and I was like, sorry mom, I just got to do this. And she was like, oh, look at you, and I was like, no, like, it's not good. I was like, I know it's good to be busy, but I was like, it's not good that I can't not switch. I have to look at it, or I have to see something, so that's still a learning thing for me, so that is a challenge.
I think so. I think now I think it's becoming more kind of like, say some of the people that I admire, like Tony Robbins or different people like that, are kind of, you know, work every moment of the day. But then when you try to do it, you get physically sick. I know that happened to me, and I was just like, okay. Yeah. And even yesterday, like, I'm trying to set up my own thing at the moment. And yesterday, do you want a spoon? Sorry.
I'm just eating all the strawberries. They smell really good.
So tired, and I was like, hey, I literally, if I do work, it's not going to be effective work. It's just going to be like, oh. Yeah. So it's trying to find that balance. I think it's really, really difficult.
And those people, those kind of motivational speakers or whatever that are like, I get up at 5 a.m. and I've got everything done by 7, and then I can do this.
Staff of like 10.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've tried to get up that early. I'm not a morning person. I'm like, I can't get up at 6 a.m. to work. I just can't do it.
No, I just say this week. Yeah, I would easily work more better at night than in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. And then people who are like, I've got like 5 kids and I work a full-time job and now I've got my own business. I'm like, how are you doing this?
I have one and I'm like, God, I have to wake up now.
Yeah, I don't have any and I'm like, oh God.
This morning I woke up and Sky was like, please give me the day off school. I was like, absolutely not. And she was like, you're the meanest. I was like, I'm only up for you right now.
If it wasn't for you, I'd be in bed.
Yeah, exactly. And what are some of your favourite forms of social media to share the message of Fashion of Ireland?
Instagram is definitely my number one to go to. I don't really use, like, I do use Facebook, but probably not as much as I should. I use it more for, like, if I see like an interesting article or something like that, I'll share it. Yeah. Rather than like on Instagram, you put up all the pictures and it's very visual, and that's kind of what I love to show off. Whereas on Facebook, I find maybe it doesn't come across as well. Yeah. So Instagram is definitely my number one social media for the website.
It's so true, because I think Instagram is definitely for like visuals or like clothes, especially as you have
and especially with their like tap to shop option as well. That's really handy.
And that's new, is it?
That's new. Yeah, it's only been there, I'd say maybe the last 3 months.
Wow, okay.
3 or 4 months. Yeah. So it's.
And do you have it on Fashion of Ireland?
Yeah. So it's really handy. Really like good, because that gives you analytics as well, so you can see who's actually clicked on it, because you can click on it to see the price and stuff, and then you see who's actually clicked on it to go onto the website, and then if there's been a sale made out of it, so it gives you all that information, which is great. So it's really handy.
And what are some of your non-social media apps that you use most days?
So I'm not really like an appy person. I don't really use many, but there is one called Good On You.
I love that.
Yeah. So if you've got any questions about, like, you know, if you're in a shop and you're like, actually, what is this brand, and you know, how ethical or sustainable is it, or just they do loads of like news articles. So
it's like a weekly or 2 a week. They're really interesting.
So that one I think is, you know, the only one really that I use. Because apart from that, I have social media, and then I don't really use apps for anything else. I'm very bad with that when it comes to things. You know, people that have apps for everything in their life, and I'm like,
no, I'm one of them. Everyone's like, why are you always stuck to your goddamn phone?
I'm not. And the memo app I use a lot.
What's the memo app?
Just the one that you like just write. It comes with the phone, and you can just write notes and stuff in it, because I always have to write stuff down, or if I don't have a pen and paper, which I usually do, if I don't have that, then I have to write it in the memos notes. So so that's probably one of my most used apps.
That's a good one. And what are some of your favourite items that you have in your wardrobe? And I just have to say that Phoebe came in with the most beautiful coat ever and scarf today, so
thank you. But my favourite items, I guess, I was telling you earlier for the awards, my boyfriend bought me a really lovely dress for my birthday. I mean, I pointed it out. Obviously, he's not that good finding stuff himself to like give a few hints along the way. But it's a dress from Realization Pa, which is like, if you see their Instagram, it's amazing. They do some really, really nice products. But even though I've been following them for about a year, and I was like, I really would love one of their dresses. And there's a influencer, I guess, on Instagram. She's French, and she wears a lot of their stuff, and like, she always looks so amazing. And I looked into them, and I was like, are they really sustainable? Because, you know, they're quite pricey, and I was like, I don't want to spend so much, well, I don't want my boyfriend to spend so much money on something that isn't, there's no point, then it kind of ruins it for me.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote to Claire Press and on Instagram.
Can you just explain who Claire Press is? Because I wouldn't have known until you told me.
Yeah, so Claire Press is the sustainable, she's the editor of sustainability for Vogue in Australia.
I think Phoebe's so cool to message her.
Well, yeah, when I did it on a whim, I was like, she's definitely not going to reply. But she did, and I just asked her, I'm thinking about buying from this brand. I can't find that much information on them. And I was like, do you know anything about them? Because she researches a lot for her job. And she replied, and she was like, look, I've interviewed these people that own the company. They seem like really great women who want to empower women in their business.
Yeah.
She was like, they are made in China, but she was like, but that doesn't necessarily mean sweatshop China. A lot of luxury labels do come from China, and they're well made, they're ethically sourced and all this kind of stuff. So she was like, do not let that put you off buying from them. And she was like, if you've wanted this for a year, and it's a birthday gift and all that kind of stuff, she was like, I don't see any harm in buying it. So she made me feel a lot better about it, because I was like, okay, great, because I really want the dress.
Oh my God, I can't wait to see the pictures.
It's just very simple black dress, kind of mini, very 90s almost style dress. But that's just me. I'm a bit of a plain Jane. I just love plain clothes.
You need to have over the top.
But because they don't age, which is great.
So true.
Yeah. So I have that, which is one of my favorite pieces, because it is special, because it did cost a bit of money, and I will never throw it out, and I will always have to stay the size that I am, because I won't be able to fit into it. But it's amazing, and I think I will always cherish that piece, and I'll always love it. So that's my my really nice.
Your boyfriend gave it too.
Yeah. So that's my kind of, I've kind of divided it into little things. So that's my special little piece. In my wardrobe, and then my regular piece is just my blue jeans. I have one pair of blue jeans that I got from Topshop a couple of years ago. And again, Topshop, but I don't own 5 or 6 pairs of blue jeans. I have one pair of blue jeans. Yeah, because I know people go into all these places and they pick up, and they maybe different tones or whatever, but they still have 5 or 6 pairs of blue jeans. I have one pair of blue jeans, and they just go with everything. So on the weekend, you find a good pair, I think you're. Yeah, and you just I'm wearing them now, actually. Yeah, these ones.
Oh, they are gorgeous.
Yes. And when it comes, because I try to dress a bit more smartly when I go into work and stuff. But then on the weekends, I'm blue jeans, jumper, done. So I always wear them. So they're one of my favorite pieces. And then my third piece is a piece that I bought recently in the H&M Conscious collection.
Oh yeah. What's that like? Is that?
I don't know what it's like up here, but in Cork it's very small.
Okay.
Cork doesn't have much of an option. In their Conscious collection in H&M. I don't know. I haven't actually been to the H&M in Dublin, so I don't know if it's any better.
Ages, yeah.
I assume it probably is better, and then maybe London's even better for their choice. But the top I bought, it's kind of a red top, and it's got flowers on it, but it's made from, I think it said 90% recycled material.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So it's made from kind of mostly recycled materials, is it?
Yeah. So and again, so if you are on a small budget and you need, you can't afford these higher brands, there are some brands that do their kind of more conscious collections. So Zara, H&M, I think ASOS do they? I think it's called the Green Room or something. Okay. I didn't write it down here, so I've got my notes in front of me. The Green Room in ASOS, and they also do a vintage one as well. Now I haven't bought from them, so I don't know what they're like, but they do. So
to have.
Yeah, so especially on a low budget, if you do want to maybe buy more consciously, but you don't have the money,
there are ways around.
There are, this top that I got now in H&M that's made from recycled materials. It was $17.99. Which isn't bad at all. So that was kind of my recent purchases that I got, and didn't feel guilty about it, because I was like,
I'd say that's stunning on you. So good choice.
Thank you.
And what are some of your favourite beauty products?
Beauty products. See, I'm not really a beauty person, especially when it comes to makeup and stuff like that. I'm actually quite useless with it, and I have to always be to my friends, what are you wearing? But I've written down a couple of things, so I might just name them off.
Yes, go on.
Okay, so to like refresh my skin, like instead of using like a toner and stuff, I use rose water.
Okay.
Because it smells really good and it's more natural than using, I don't know, chemically toners or whatever they are. I've used rose water.
Tones your skin.
Yeah. And it really, like, your skin feels amazing afterwards. It feels so refreshed. It's such a nice way to tone your skin, I think, rather than using
probably lovely off the plane or something.
And like it just smells really nice. It's so good. I've started using shampoo bars.
How do you find them?
Really good actually, because my scalp is actually really sensitive.
Right.
So I was like, I don't know about this. You know, I've got my shampoo brands and I know what works. But just coming into the more kind of trying to buy less packaging and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I might give them a go. And I love them.
And where do you get them? In Lush?
Yeah.
I got one recently as well, and I am obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And I just think my hair smells amazing afterwards.
Yeah, and it actually makes it really glossy. And because I was like, I don't really when it's like a bar of soap or something, you're kind of like, I don't really trust this.
But I mean drying, like bars of soap, but these are really good.
Yeah, they're not what I thought they'd be at all, because I was like, I'll just give it a go and see what it's like. But I actually really like it, so I've recommended it to a lot of people.
Wow.
And I'm sure there's probably companies, like we said, like Irish companies and stuff making them.
Yeah.
I haven't looked too much into them, so I don't know, but Lush is a good place to start.
Farmer market.
I'd be like, any soap bars? I love, like when I said about my scalp, it is really sensitive and it can get really dry. So when it comes to dry shampoos, I couldn't use them because they really affected my scalp.
Okay.
And there's a company in West Cork called Warrior Botanicals. And it's run by a girl called Radine, and she makes all her own products. So she does like deodorants and everything like that. But her dry shampoo is what I use because it doesn't make my scalp irritated. And it's got ingredients like arrowroot, clay, cacao powder. So your hair kind of smells like you've like made like cookies or something, because you're like with the cacao powder and the vanilla.
It smells delicious.
Yeah, and you're like, this is nice.
What's the name of her company? Sorry.
Warrior Botanicals. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it is, even her Instagram is really nice. She's always got really nice imagery. Really? Her packaging's beautiful. And she does a few other products as well. So I like her stuff. When it comes to like going out, I'm not really like lipsticks and stuff. I don't really wear them. But I always see people and I'm like, it just looks so nice, and I try it and I end up like licking it all off because I hate the like feel of it. But I bought a NARS lipstick a few months ago called Dolce Vita.
Okay.
And it kind of just gives it like a finished look without feeling like you're wearing lipstick.
Yeah.
So if you're like me and you don't really like that feeling, especially like matte and stuff, I just find like I'm just picking at it. So that's a really good one if you just want like kind of more like a kind of tinted balm, I suppose, rather than an actual lip colour. Elizabeth Arden's 8 Hour Cream, amazing. Just like my nose will fall off if I don't use it. Like my nose gets so dry, I have to use it all the time, and my hands as well. Yeah, like my kind of cuticles and things like that. It's great for.
Well, I'd say with like the skimmerine winds that you get.
all this sea air just like cracking my skin. But like it's I can't live without that. And what I'm wearing at the moment is my new obsession, and because it's after your podcast actually with Flawless and Poreless, looking into kind of more cruelty-free and vegan products. Isle of Paradise is a tan, with all those good qualities to them.
Again, Phoebe's tan is really nice. I wouldn't have even known you were wearing fake tan.
And it's so now it's like it's more of a natural tan. So if you want a dark, I think they do it in a darker shade. I've got the medium on, but they're like a water spray. So it goes on really evenly, doesn't smell, because I can't be going with those mousses and things. Yeah,
they're difficult to kind of maneuver, I think, sometimes, and not get it your patchy.
Yeah. So this came out and I was like, look, they're all, I think they're organic as well. And I was like, this sounds really cool, but it's like green. So the medium colour is green. And I was like, it's green, like a green water. I was like, how the hell is this going to go? So I put it on and I love it. So that's definitely one of my favourite kind of beauty products to go to.
Isle of Paradise.
Isle of Paradise. You can get it in Boots. You can probably get it in other places as well. But
Check that out as well.
Oh, yeah.
This now, thanks to Phoebe.
Yeah, that's my favourite. And especially if you do have sensitive skin and stuff, and, you know, it's great to put on your skin and things, because it's just like a water spray.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't really go wrong with it, I don't think. Yeah.
So how would you unwind?
Unwinding is really hard for me. I really need to start doing something like yoga or some sort of meditation, because I don't do that at the moment, and I really think I should, because it's really hard for me to unwind. Yeah, because I'm kind of constantly thinking about stuff, and I'm relaxing, and like even if I'm sitting down watching a film, kind of halfway through, I'd be like, okay, so I need to maybe go and do the washing up or do something productive. Yeah. I can't just sit there and watch a film. It's really annoying, or I feel...
to be doing something while watching.
Yeah. So it's actually really hard for me to switch off. But I guess one of the best things to help me is if I go somewhere and I'm doing something like going for a walk or going to like a different town or...
Last week you put up some really nice pictures of going on walks and like being active in the sun. I was like, God, I wish I was with Phoebe today.
Yeah, because I mean, especially being in West Cork as well. I mean, I'm spoiled for places to go, which is great, and it's literally the only thing that actually does help me switch off. Otherwise, if I'm in the house or whatever, and then I'm like, oh well, I've got my laptop here, so I might as well work, or I've got my phone here, I might as well do something. So yeah, that's my kind of number one switching off, is if I actually drive myself somewhere, or if I go somewhere and walk somewhere, that's the only thing I can do.
You're there.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And it's, as you said, like especially where you're based, like just so many different places and nice places to just go and immerse yourself in.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I'm so happy to be back down there and kind of be surrounded by that every day. It's great.
It's lucky girl. Yeah. And I know you said you were talking about is it Overdressed, the book, or Underdressed?
Overdressed.
Is there any other books you'd recommend?
Yes, there is. Sorry, I've got my little notes again. The Wardrobe Crisis, like I said earlier, from Claire Press. That's very good. See, Overdressed, if you're going to start, I would start with Overdressed.
You would recommend Overdressed,
because the Wardrobe Crisis and then To Die For from Lucy, is it Seagal or Siegel? Seagal, yeah. They're very good, but they're very factual. So I find that I have to maybe read a chapter and that's it, because I can't take in any more information. And I'm like, whoa, that gave me a lot. Whereas with Overdressed, it was easier to take in the information. So I would start maybe with that one if you're going to start, and then maybe go into the more factual ones
after that.
Because I haven't even finished To Die For yet, because I'm still just taking it bit by bit, because I'm like, whoa, there was so much packed into that chapter. Then I'm like, okay, I'll read that again next week, because like that was a lot.
Especially because I know I think it's Overdressed that I might have read as well, but especially because some of them can, like, the facts that they are giving and the points in the book can be a little bit like, whoa, what am I doing?
And some of them can be really depressing as well, and you kind of have to go, oh god, like, what have we been doing all these years? Why has this been allowed to happen? And I think it was...
But they're so interesting to read as well.
So interesting, like they blow my mind. And I think it was Wardrobe. See, I'm reading Wardrobe Crisis and To Die For at the same time, so I kind of get mixed up. But I think it was Wardrobe Crisis, and she was saying that... No, I think it was To Die For. She was saying that it takes... Let me try to see if I can get this right now. To make a cashmere sweater takes 6 goats. Really? Is it goats that makes sense?
Yeah, I think so.
It takes 6 goats to make one sweater, whereas it takes 1 sheep to make like 34 merino wool sweaters or something like that. Wow. So it was a crazy... I really wish I had it now, because I don't know if I've done that justice or if I've said the right numbers. But it was a crazy kind of comparison to see when you see a cashmere sweater in Tesco for $9.99 or something, and you're like, what? Like, it's taken 6 goats to make that. How is it $9.99? And so it really put it in perspective for me. As to,
and that's not even including like the human labour, or transport.
So it really kind of like it's kind of hard hitting facts like that they put in, and you're like, whoa,
what am I doing here?
So I love it for those reasons. You do get a lot from them.
Definitely.
They're not easy reads. you're reading to learn, I think. But they're great.
Reading to learn the hard truth sometimes.
Yeah, but they're great. So I definitely recommend those. I get a lot from them.
Okay, and is there any documentaries you'd recommend as well?
Documentaries, I guess when I first started looking into stuff on Netflix, there's the True Cost movie.
Yeah.
And like in my head I'm like, well, everyone's watched that, but probably people haven't.
I'm so surprised at how many people haven't. And it's not just because I'm like, oh, what are you doing? It's just because I only came across it one day and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But up until then I never would have even thought to watch it.
Yeah. And that was the first documentary I really properly watched on the fashion industry, like in that light.
Yeah.
And I was blown away, and just the hard-hitting facts, and because you see it as well, they filmed the effects that fashion have on people's not even mental health, but their physical health as well.
I couldn't believe
these children are being born in these countries, and because of all the chemicals around them, they're born with like no limbs or with cancer, and you just think like, okay, yeah, go and do your shopping, but like, what about these people over in these countries? Because you don't see it. We're so secluded over here that, you know, it's really easy to just ignore it.
Yeah, turn a blind eye.
Yeah. But when I definitely watched that movie. I mean, I know it's one of those things like people are like, oh, watch all these movies and you'll turn vegan and all this kind of stuff. Because it scares you into it, and I don't like scaring people into it, but
it's a hard-hitting one, I think, but it's an important one to see. If you want to know where your clothes are coming from, which everyone should, question, you know, everything, where is this coming from. So I think that's an amazing documentary. It's really good. And Olivia Firth is in.
Well, this is kind of where my whole sort of research into it really began, was when I read Overdressed, and then I watched that movie on Netflix, and I was just hooked after that. Then I was like, there's no going back once you see it, really. And then recently Jeremy Irons brought out a film called Trashed.
Okay, I haven't heard of that.
I don't know where you can see it, because I know he's bringing it around to different countries and schools and governments and things like that. But he brought it to Skibbereen in the town hall.
Oh, cool.
And had like a little kind of showing of it. And that was really hard hitting, but that was more to do with like plastic. And he went to these places. He was like on a beach full of plastic, and really kind of went to different countries and saw what they were doing, and that was really hard hitting. And I think everyone came out of the town hall just feeling so depressed.
Oh God,
because it was like, it didn't end on a happy note at all. It was very much like, we're doomed. Okay. Which I didn't really appreciate, because I think there's always something positive to end on. There's always something that you can encourage people to do. So there was part of me that was like, oh, they could have, done a bit of a happy spin on it and be like, look, this is what you can do. This is what is happening. These are the people that are doing great things. But I guess he just wanted to be like, look, this is happening, this is the hard hidden facts. So that was really good. So if it ever does come to
something to keep an eye out for.
Whether it's Netflix or if it's on the TV or if it comes to maybe a cinema or something, definitely look out for it. It was great. It was very informal.
And it's Jeremy Irons.
Trashed. And he worked on it for a few years, I think. So it's there's some really good information.
And just to go back to Fashion of Ireland, what do you think has been the number one key to the success it's had so far? I think it's hard work.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that in my head. I was like, I don't want to come across as a bit of a dick, but like it is though. It's my determination, I guess, and my love for it too. Because sometimes I do have those days, and I'm like, oh, why am I doing this? Like, why am I putting myself through this?
But as you said, like, it's hard when you don't see like instant results, and like people messaging you straight away about everything.
Or putting up a new product and like no one buys it, and it's like straight away, and it's just like, well, what, you don't love this? Like, I love it. Why do you love it? And it's like, it takes time. But it is. I think it is. It's my hard work that I've really put into it, and I put everything into it. It's destroyed my soul in so many ways. And I think it's just my love and my passion for it. Like, I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't put myself through this much stress and anxiety and things like that if I didn't really believe in it. So I think that has to be the key, is the work towards it. I
think that was a lovely answer.
Thank you.
Okay, I have some some quick fire questions.
Okay.
So breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast.
Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
Nights in or nights out?
In.
Call or
I'm
text?
such a granny. Text.
And heels or flats?
Oh, flats.
Boots or shoes?
Boots.
Casual or fancy?
Cash.
Eyes or lips?
Eyes.
Colour or monochrome?
Monochrome.
Morning or evening?
Oh, evening.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Straight hair or wavy hair?
Straight.
Fruit or veg?
Fruit.
Swimming in the pool or swimming in the sea?
Oh, pool. I don't go in the sea. There's too many
You
stuff
live
in there.
in the best place to
I
go.
know. I'm so bad for it, but there's like fish and seaweed, and I can't.
No. Shower or bath?
Shower.
Ariel or Snow White? I know the answer. If you don't like to see it.
Do you know what? I actually really love Ariel.
You love Ariel?
Yeah,
okay.
more so than Snow White.
Here's a tricky one for you now. Online shopping or shopping in store?
Oh god, that is hard because I do own an online store.
You do, yeah.
So I'm gonna say online, but I do love
In-store
in-store as well. Yeah, that's a really tough one.
Tea or smoothie?
Tea.
Rom-com or thriller?
Oh, rom-com.
Music or podcast?
Podcast.
Flowers or plants?
Flowers.
Flowers.
Yeah.
And what do the next few years hold for you and for Fashion of Ireland?
Oh god. I have no idea. You know when people ask you like, so what's your 5-year plan? And you're like, I have no idea. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and then hopefully something will come of it. But I do hope to get into the American market and the Asian
really
market
good.
as well.
Yeah.
So I'd love to like say come back here in 5 years time and be like, yeah, check me out, I'm selling in America, I'm selling in China, I'm selling in Japan.
It'd be amazing.
And I'd love to keep adding more designers onto the website as well. To have, I kind of want to become like the Net-a-Porter of Ireland as such. I want to have all those amazing products, all those amazing designers. And I also want to add things like I want to go into children's wear, have the men's wear, have things like cosmetics as well. You know, I don't think I'm going to go down like the household place, but like fashion and beauty and, you know, accessories and stuff like that. I'd love, so I'd really love to build on that and add more variety and more products onto the website.
And I think you picked such an amazing name to do kind of.
And you know, I didn't have that name in the beginning.
Did you not?
No, it was something totally different.
Can you tell us? Sorry.
It's so cringe. Well, it's not cringe, but it was called The Original Line. And it was the same concept, just different name. And the name had gone, I think. I think it was something to do with the domain name that I couldn't get.
Okay.
And I was gonna have to pay like $1,000 for it or something, and I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. So I was like, right, back to the drawing board. And it came to me, I think I was like half asleep, falling asleep, and I was like, and I thought fashion, I think I said Fashion Island was the name I came up with.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, Fashion Island. Like does what it says on the tin kind of thing. And I looked it up, and again I think that name was gone, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, why are all the names gone? And then I was like, Fashion of Ireland, that makes way more sense. Fashion Island doesn't even make sense. Fashion of Ireland. And I looked that up, and it was there. So I was like, great. And the way that I designed the logo was to be like Fee, which is then kind of like my name as well. So I was like, that kind of worked out pretty well. And even when I rang the company who I bought the domain off, that I said the name, and she was like, oh, it's probably taken. And she looked it up, and she's like, no, it's not taken. I was like, yeah, no, it's not. And she was like, I really would have thought that name would be taken. She was like, that's such an obvious name to have for a company like that.
And especially if you want to, you know, in the next while go into the American market, like everyone will be like, oh yeah, I want to go on to the Fashion of Ireland.
So it kind of it took a while to get to that name. I tried a few different things out, but so it's kind of it was good. And I think in terms of like, you know, SEO and people finding me online and stuff like that, hopefully it'll come to my favour.
I think so, and especially the way that, you know, your company is going, in that, you know, you do want to have the contemporary fashion of Ireland that is out there on the market now, and then to build like children's and men's, I think it's amazing. So I think onwards and upwards, especially 30 under 30. So so excited for you tonight.
I know, God, I'm nervous actually, because it's being in Dublin. I don't know where the thing is, I don't know where we're going. I have to Google map everything, so I'm like, hello. Just like turning up.
That would be so good. Well, we have our fingers crossed for you, Phoebe, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And we're so happy to share your message and to
Thank you.
get it out there. Hey guys, just back to me again. So I hope you enjoyed that interview with Phoebe. I think she's amazing. I have a total girl crush on her at the moment, and I just think what she's doing with Fashion of Ireland and with her determination of, leaving the stability of full-time employment to work hard on her dream and work hard in Fashion of Ireland, I just think is amazing. Full admiration. And Phoebe, thank you so much for being on the show. I can't wait to see what the next year holds for Fashion of Ireland. So also thank you to everyone who is listening, and if you have any questions for myself or Phoebe, I will put some links as to where you can get in touch with both of us. And not next week, but the week after. As I said at the start, we're doing this every second week now. We will have the lovely Hannah Ryan of Platinum Pink Pilates on, talking about all things Pilates and all things health and all things just amazing. Hannah is someone who I just think when you're around, you're just happy. She's so nice, so warm, so lovely. I just have another girl crush on Hannah. So I'll catch back up with you then. Thanks for listening. Bye.
I know you don't have time to talk to your plants, so I'm going to talk to them for you. You can go on about your business, whether that's to class or the office, or fixing dinner, or making love. Don't worry. They'll listen to me.